At about 6:48 on Saturday evening, there were 5 things I felt I knew to be true. Number 1, New Zealand are the best rugby team in the world, without question. Number 2, Ireland are not the same without Conor Murray. Number 3, Beauden Barrett can't drop goals. The one last week was a fluke. He was knocking it on and happened to have a twitch his leg at the same time. Number 4, Brodie Retallick does not lose lineouts. And number 5, Peter O'Mahony is human. And now I'm not certain any of those things are true. After Ireland went and knocked over the All Blacks for a second time in 3 games. For me, this performance was even more impressive than the one in Chicago. That game was something of an anomaly. It was one of those games in which everything works for a team, in which every player plays out their skin and every bounce of the ball goes their way. England beat New Zealand in 2012 during the Stuart Lancaster era in similar circumstances, and look how that eventually turned out for that side. There was nothing flukish about the game on Saturday. Ireland beat the All Blacks in a proper competitive rugby match, the kind of game the All Blacks don't normally lose. So how did they do it? Ireland built the win on tackling. I haven't seen defence so hard since I accidentally walked in on that lawyer's orgy. They became the first Northern Hemisphere team in 23 years to prevent New Zealand scoring a try, and bar the Lions, the first in this World Cup cycle to do it at all. Whereas the generally terrific English defence still couldn't prevent New Zealand creating chances, only taking them, Ireland shut the door completely. Defence coach and cause of Owen Farrell's never-ending daddy issues, Andy Farrell, deploys a risky defensive strategy that only works if all the team are switched on all the time. Essentially, Ireland defend with 13 in the main line, as opposed to the usual 11, mostly in the centre of the field near the ruck. This leaves very few gaps, making it basically impossible to penetrate the Irish line. Ireland conceded only 3 line breaks through the middle of the pitch during the Six Nations, the space virtually always plugged. They rushed up in waves, applying pressure, staggered only slightly to allow for cover for chips and half breaks. This also explains why Ireland left out living highlights reel Jordan Lama in favour of the somehow not yet 40 Rob Kearney, as the extra numbers in the main line leaves a fullback with a hell of a lot of space to cover. And though he may look like he struggles to operate a toaster, Kearney's positioning in the backfield is always superb. The defensive effort was made all the more admirable because the All Blacks had some really smart innovations to try and get through it. Against a blitz defence, the most obvious strategy is to go for more chips than Michael David did during his fish supper addiction. However, earlier this year, Wales showcased another way around it, as packing the defence into the middle of the pitch makes it easy to isolate the winger, with Farrell's system becoming reliant on that individual making the correct decision. And Wales managed to target the in and out of the team and therefore the structure Fergus McFadden and the then still green Jacob Stockdale, forcing them to make decisions that weren't yet instincts. And Wales got 2 tries out of it. Stockdale has since improved, so instead of targeting Ireland's wide defence, New Zealand aimed for the point in which the main defence becomes the wide defence, targeting the inches between waves. It's a bit like trying to knock a door down by taking out the hinges, rather than kicking it in. This won't knock the thing down, there won't be a line break, but when the door's made of whatever Peter O'Mahony's made of, it's so much easier to just target the latch. Speaking of Peter O'Mahony, or Pom as I like to dissentingly call him, Jesus Christ, he was good. Not only did he cut Brodie Retallick down to size after the praise I gave him last week, but he put in not just one game's worth of work, but enough shifts to activate sticky keys. He was everywhere. Ireland was so happy with their defence, they decided to kick the ball back to New Zealand with 90 seconds to play and trust they'll see out the game from there. And lo and behold, they did. Their defence worked. Ireland kicked generally very smartly, which is a feat all the more impressive considering they're missing the man I previously called their one-man team, Conor Murray. When Marvel couldn't get Hugo Weaving back for Infinity War, instead of rewriting or recasting the role, they hired known impressionist Ross Marquand to do his best Hugo Weaving impression. This is basically what Ireland did on Saturday. Without Murray, they plumped for Kieran Marmion, normally a livelier number 9 than the one in that children's TV show with the sentient numbers where they dance and sing and shit. On Saturday, however, Marmion was not left to play his own game, but told to get up on stage and do his best impression of the guy who normally keeps him out of the team. And he did it extremely well, capturing Murray's voice, mannerisms and kicking game. That kicking game is normally based more on height than distance, giving wingers a chance to compete for the ball, and Marmion did this superbly, with these 2 kicks of particular note, landing deliberately just outside the 22 to prevent New Zealand calling the mark, hence allowing for maximum pressure. Most of the Irish game was to neutralise the All Blacks, to let them play as little as possible. However, Ireland still needed to pull something out themselves to get ahead, and me oh my, yes boy did they do that. This play, though innovative, is not new. Joe Schmidt has pulled it out twice before, both times in 2015, once against Scotland and once against Romania. But then Schmidt tucked it away in his playbook and left the team to wait for the perfect moment. This play worked partly because of how late it happened in the game. The All Blacks were used to what Ireland did first phase by now and not expecting the switch. The New Zealand midfield defence was just watching Stander and Van der Fleer coming down the middle and Aaron Smith headed it in field to cover a kick so fast you'd think he's heading for an airport bathroom. The third key element here is that Kieran Reid competes for the line out, falls to the floor, and is then out of the game for the remaining play. So when Sexton switches with Archie and sends the ball back from whence it came, only type 5 forwards are around. From there, it's a foot race. Stockdale against a turning Ioane and a distant Mackenzie. Whilst Ireland did play extremely well, they were helped by how the All Blacks played. Except it wasn't that the All Blacks played badly, they just played differently. This is speculation, but it appears to me that Steve Hansen is using this autumn to test out alternative game plans ahead of next year's World Cup, trying to get his team used to playing plans A, C and D rather than just the usual plan BB. New Zealand was still very reliant on generating quick ball, but looked to link up dual distributors, Barrett and Mackenzie, and once again have them run the game rather than Aaron Smith. Once more, Bodie kicked for position, cleared the lines, and even made it clear that not only does he know what a drop goal is, he knows how to kick one, and that the All Blacks clearly want him practicing that in in-game scenarios ahead of next year. Steve Hansen seems very aware of his team's flaws and is trying to work them out before it's too late. The All Blacks obviously wanted to win on Saturday, but you suspect if it took the loss against South Africa to expose their weaknesses, and this loss to teach the team how to fix them, Hansen would be happy to drop 2 games before the World Cup starts and be a stronger team when they get there. The All Blacks still don't have much experience playing games with a tight conclusion and will have learned a lot from the last 10 minutes of that match. But that doesn't change the fact that Ireland already know how to win those games, and more importantly, back themselves to do so. Chicago was a sign that Ireland can beat anyone on a day, but Dublin on Saturday was a sign that Ireland can beat anyone on any day. It might be too early to say that New Zealand are no longer the best rugby team in the world, but it's certainly now a question. Hi there, it's me again. I'm going to go for a lie down in a minute, but before I do that I want to quickly say thank you very much for watching that. Thank you to everyone that supported the channel on Patreon. You've allowed me the time, be able to afford the time to make these videos as quickly as I can, to do the turnaround that I've done. So thank you very much. Thank you to Rugby Warfare for continuing to sponsor the channel. If you want, you can use the offer code SQ20 to get 20% off in their store, or you can use the offer code BLK30 to get 30% off in their store this weekend because it's Black Friday. And then additionally, beyond that, we've also got the Malawi Sevens. I'm still trying to send a team to the Africa Rugby Championships for the first time, trying to get together a Malawi Sevens team for the first time ever. If you want to head to, there's a link in the description. They're trying to fund the team, fundraiser there, and if you donate enough, they also send you a jersey as well. So hopefully that's enough to be getting on with. I began writing a video on Scotland versus South Africa, but I have genuinely no idea how I'll ever finish it. So I'll try. I'll go back to that after I've had a nap, possibly a breakdown as well, and then I'll come back and I'll see you soon for something. Bye.